welcome to the Astro Forecast for the week of April 17th through to the 23rd. This is a big week, y'all. We have Mercury retrograde, actually Mercury stationary retrograde this whole week. And then we've got a new moon eclipse at the 29 degrees of Aries, square Pluto with the north node of the moon. There's a lot there to unpack. And then we've got the sun moving into Taurus very quickly after that. And then we've got Mercury retrograding right after that. So there's kind of this tight timeline of things happening at the same time. And this is all sort of shifting the energy for us. So it's been quite interesting as I'm writing this as well. As a Virgo, Mercury rules my sign, and I did the whole forecast. I sent it all off, and I realized I missed a very important part. So this is take number 2 on this, and I was really excited in my last video. So I'm going to see if I can reclaim that here. So Mercury stationary retrograde this whole week. Now I want you to think about planets go slow and fast and slow and fast. They kind of speed up and they slow down in their trajectory around the sun. Mercury is a planet that follows very closely to the sun, and he's slowing down and speeds up for 4 weeks. So slows down, going slower than the Earth for 4 weeks at a time, 3 to 4 times a year. So it's kind of a natural thing. And Mercury rules our communication, our thought processing, the way we connect with each other, our coordination, our community, the way we connect with each other. It's really an integral part of who we are, right? Now, when a planet goes retrograde, it means that it slows down relative to the Earth and it goes slower than us. So when we look at it in the sky, it almost looks like it's going backwards, but we're actually going faster than it. And this planet is now introspected. It's almost it's within us, right? It's not now going out. So when Mercury's direct, we're talking, we're making deals, we're traveling, Mercury will travel. There's, things happening outside of us. We're talking, we're writing, we're putting out products, we're, making deals, things like that. When Mercury goes retrograde, we are now the rule of reads, reassess, realign, review. We're really kind of going over the things that we've been thinking, that we've been doing, that we've been negotiating. All of those things now come inward, and we're meant to slow down. We're so busy as a collective, right? We're so busy as a productive, a society that really rewards productivity, that we need these moments in time for us to kind of take a breath, right? To go over some of the things that we've been neglecting, or that we've been so busy that we just kind of do it haphazardly. But really, this is now a time to go back and, dot the I's and cross the T's, as they say. So think of it as a pendulum as well. So when a pendulum is swinging, it almost appears to stop at the top of the swing, right? If we were to just take a picture or stop the video there, it would be kind of, hidden, hanging in midair before it changes direction and comes back, right? So when a planet is starting to slow down relative to the Earth and it goes retrograde, meaning it's slower than the Earth now officially, what happens is it's almost like it's stationary. It's kind of held in midair, just like a pendulum. And during those moments, so we have stationary retrograde, so meaning he is now changing direction, going the other way. And then we also have stationary direct. So when the retrograde period is over, he's now stationary direct. And that there's sort of a moment in time, and it's about 5 to 7 days, depending on the situation, that it's kind of at this exact degree for a long time. And so it intensifies Mercury's power on us, or influence on us, or the frequency that's coming into this planet from that planet, sorry. So when we think about that, you're going to see all these memes, you're going to see all these posts on social media about Mercury is retrograde, and then Mercury direct. It doesn't just happen at a moment in time. It actually takes 5 days. So it's not just those posts come out and you're like, oh, it's good now. And you're like, why is everything so screwed up? Because it's stationary. So stationary intensifies the action of Mercury. So please, and any retrograde, right? So please don't pay attention to those crappy signs and crappy posts that are being put out by people and shared by people, which is why I do these. That's to help you understand that that's not real. People don't know, right? So Mercury is going to be stationary retrograde. Thinking of it's now falling into the back, so it's slowing down from April 17th to the 24th. So Monday to Monday, he's going to be sitting on the 15th degree of Taurus. That's it. Sitting on the 15th degree of Taurus for those days, 7 days, right? That's intense. So I'm going to say to you, expect communications to go awry. Really pay attention to who you're speaking to and what you're saying and checking for active listening. Okay. Also, be careful who you're sending texts and screenshots and things to. Really double check and check again before you send it, especially if you are gossiping. Not a good idea to gossip ever, but really not a good idea during Mercury retrograde. I literally witnessed somebody send something that wasn't supposed to be sent to the whole chat during Mercury retrograde. I was like, ah, classic, right? Like, as an astrologer, I'm like, classic, because this is exactly what happens, right? If you are traveling, making sure that your documents are printed. So if you're flying, print your documents out. Don't trust it on your electronics. Also, pack an extra book, pack some music, because you might be in for some delays. Mercury retrograde likes to slow things down. So you might be a delayed flight. You might lose your bag. Pack accordingly. Pack a carry-on accordingly, right? I don't know who's still traveling, putting all of their toiletries and all of their underwear in their carry-on. Like, seriously, right? So some Virgo in me. So really pay attention to what you're doing, how you're doing it. Now, also, there's going to be this stationary retrograde time is going to bring extra awareness as well to this eclipse that's happening as well on Wednesday night, Thursday morning, depending on where in the world you live. So we're going to start off this week, Monday, April 17th, in a fourth quarter moon phase, meaning the moon is losing light. It's not a time to have a lot of energy. It's not a time to start anything new. This is a time to tie off loose ends. This is a time to really pay attention to what's happening, to start making a list of things that need to be finished, and pay attention to what's happening around you for awareness of how it triggers you. If you get triggered, right? If someone's in traffic and they're honking you, or if somebody, something happening in the family, and notice triggers are flags of healing, right? Flags for healing. That's where you need healing. If you're neutral, somebody comes up to you and calls you a name and you're like, all right, I don't know who you are. That name means nothing to me. All right, right? It's like someone coming up to me and going, you have purple hair. And I'm like, actually, there are red streaks in it, but whatever. It wouldn't bother me, right? But if someone came up to me and called me a racial slur, I might have a reaction to that, because that's probably part of my background or something I grew up with, or maybe a name that I was called, and it has a deeper meaning to me. So I might react to that. I've also done a lot of healing, so I'm always like, no, it's just a name. It doesn't have anything to do with me now, I take it as an opportunity to educate, but really that's not a word. What if someone came up to me and called me fat? Oof, that might be something that we like. Why don't you just, that could hit a nerve. So even that's something for me to heal, right? That's not about them, about me. So that's going to be a week of triggers this week with this new moon in Aries eclipse, right? So Monday, we're starting out with a fourth quarter phase of the moon, and we're very intuitive. Tuesday, we might be prone to a little bit of anger and frustration, and that actually is going to build to the new moon as well. And then Wednesday, so here in Mountain Standard Time, or if you're on the west coast of the US and Canada, we are going to experience the new moon eclipse in Aries on Wednesday night Wednesday night for Mountain Standard Time, it's 10:13 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, or 9:13 p.m., 9:12, give or take a minute, whatever, on the West Coast. And then if you're on the East Coast, you're going to experience it at 12:13 a.m. So the next day, Thursday. So it's a big deal. Number one, it's a eclipse. Now, an eclipse means that the new moon or full moon is happening near the nodes of the moon. The nodes of the moon in astrology talk about our karmic destiny and our karmic past. So the north node is our karmic destiny, our way moving forward as a collective. And then the south node is where we've come from. What have we learned? Those life lessons from the past. This is the north node eclipse. Where are we going as a collective? What is the future we want to create? So think about that, okay? Now, this eclipse is also a very rare eclipse. It is only 3% of eclipses. We call it a hybrid eclipse. Now, there's 4 kinds of eclipses. I'm not going to get into that here. If you want to learn about eclipses and astrology, come take my course. And the link is in the bio or wherever you're seeing this, or just DM me and I'll send you the wait list to get on that. But this is part of 3% of all eclipses are called a hybrid eclipse. Now, this is a kind of 2 eclipses in one. So it first starts out as annular, so kind of like that ring around the sun, and then it will block out the sun, right? It's a solar eclipse, sun. So when it blocks out the sun, it will then be the second part, so of total eclipse, right? So it starts off as an annular, like a ring around the sun, and then it'll be blocked out. Now, this is important because a total eclipse is very powerful. And a total eclipse, where it can be seen in the world, it will be a very powerful force for evolution in the world. So where it is, it's interesting to track this, and it's something I started to do with my astrology, is when you track the path of an eclipse and you see where it is actually visible to the earth. Of course, you're not supposed to look at an eclipse, but so the partial eclipse is going to hit Australia, Philippines, New Zealand, and Southeast Asia. And then the total eclipse is going to hit Australia and Indonesia and Australia. So given how much weather turbulence they've been having in the last year with the rains and then the fires and it's just been kind of insane. So it'll be interesting to watch what's going to happen with Australia in the next 6 months. And Indonesia too is on the ring of fire and very prone. They had that tsunami years ago, volcano, things like that. It'll be very interesting to notice that path of the eclipse usually depicts major turbulent times ahead. So economically, demographically, weather-wise. So it'll be interesting to just notice. I like to look for correlations and see if it's true. So we're on an experiment to see how this is going to affect this part of the world. Okay, so that's something to take into account. Now, the other thing that's making this a really potent new moon eclipse is that it's at the 29th degree of Aries. If you will recall, around the equinox in March, specifically, I think it was March 21st. I wrote it somewhere that I can't find it on my page right now. But at the new moon eclipse, yes, March 21st, there was a new moon in Aries at the 0 degree mark. So now we're coming to 2 weeks later, where it is now at the 29 degree and 50 minutes. So it's 10 minutes before the end of this season of Aries. So whenever we have something, a planet or a new moon, full moon at the 0 degree mark or the 29 degree mark, we call that a critical degree or an anaretic degree in astrology. That means that they're very powerful degrees, like as if an eclipse wasn't powerful enough, right? So at 0 degrees, think of it as like a baby giraffe, right? You're just coming into, you're so much the previous sign that you've now come into this sign, and boom, this planet, you were born, something's happening. So it's almost like you're trying to sort out this energy. You're trying to learn how to use this energy. So it's very powerful because you don't know how to use it yet, right? So you can kind of become like obscurious. I don't know if you watch Fantastical Beasts, right? It's almost like there's so much power, you don't know how to harness it. So it's a little bit, kind of wobbly at the beginning. Now at the end degree, it is powerful AF because it's so much that sign. It's asking you, did you learn the lesson of this sign? Right? And so it'll start to exhibit kind of the harder aspects of that sign to say, do you know how to use this now? This is powerful stuff now. Did you learn how to do this? Right? So Aries energy is very powerful, right? It's the first sign of the zodiac. So it's pioneering, it's fire, it starts things, it transforms things, it's a leadership quality. They're first through the door, right? They're very courageous, they're very bold, they like to start new things, right? Create a very creative energy. And so this fiery energy of Aries, when it's turned up too loud, and it's bold, turned up too loud, it can be egoic. It's ruled by Mars. Mars is my energy, like my egoic will to move forward. So when it's turned up too loud, 29 degree, it can be like, this is my needs, this is what I want to do. And this is aggression. Aries is the god of war. So this can be like, I'm going to put my will on you and you're going to do what I say and I get to dictate, right? So we can start to see this energy of coming out in the collective, possibly about my needs, what's my rights, what do I get to do, right? And I always like to sort of think of this energy as like the energy of billionaires, right? It's like, yeah, we're all trying to save the planet, but please keep using your private jets and your yachts and all that kind of stuff, right? Like another rule for them. That's that egoic, like I don't subscribe to any of that stuff, right? So that I think there's going to be a little bit, coming out now with, our individuality. So we need individuality because we have to understand what our gifts and talents are to then add that to the collective, to then come into relationships and then amplify our energy, not to be completed by one another, but more so than to have our energy harmonize and expand, right? And then we need to have our individuality to then add that kind of unique gift that we have to the collective to amplify the collective. If we're all working in our purpose and passion, we are then going to be doing things that are really in alignment with our highest good, our highest self, our soul self, and then also, elevating humanity. Wouldn't that be amazing to have a collective where everybody was doing their purposeful job and we didn't have people doing jobs because it was a paycheck, right? It was just because I have to put food on the table. What if we covered everybody's basic needs and then that then left us open to really follow our heart, right? If money wasn't an issue, what would you be doing? So, my friends, that is the crux of this new moon eclipse happening on Thursday, well, Wednesday, Thursday, depending on where you live. So that 29-degree Aries is going to come out, right? We might be seeing out in the collective, this is mine, you don't want to pee on a pole. Like that's not, we're trying to more come into the Libra is the opposite of Aries, more that coming together. And we don't want to be so coming together where we give up ourselves. We need our own needs. We need to have our own, like, who are you, right? How do you feel about yourself? What is your identity? How do you want to show up in this life? And then how you want to add that to the collective. How do you want to then show up to help others, to be of service? Because we do need to know who we are in order to do that. We need to know what's our special gifts to then have that out into the world, right? So the other thing, that's adding to, well, a few more things that's adding to this. We have a square to Pluto for this new moon. So, well, and the new moon, so the sun, the moon, the north node, and Jupiter are all sitting together in this lovely kind of little family, acting together as a conjunction, we call it. They're acting as a team. So Jupiter is amplifying this me. That's mine. That's what I want. That's what I'm like. Beat my chest like a silverback gorilla. This is me. That's amplifying that. It's also a really positive energy for starting kind of bringing something new to light, right? Really bringing the collective into a new evolutionary level. It needs a lot of energy. We need some help, right? So that Jupiter is helping with that expansion. But it's interesting because the North Node is in Taurus. Taurus is about money. It's about values. It's about kind of longevity, lasting, things that last the test of time. And we're going to see this come up because the sun is about to move into Taurus, right? So, we want to bring something into being that's going to last the test of time. And we can't do that with all of these old structures still hanging about. So Pluto is coming in here, death, rebirth, and transformation, literally the wrecking ball that's coming in here to say, are we paying attention to the collective's needs? Are you just making it about you? Or are you actually thinking about everybody else, right? Are we doing things that really are going to help everybody to elevate? So in terms of healthcare, are we providing truly a universal healthcare that everyone can access? Or are we making it so that only a select few get really good healthcare? So privatization versus public. And again, we could have lots of conversations about which one is better, and maybe there's a hybrid and all that stuff. I don't think anyone really knows, right? I think it's all an experiment trying to see how can we do this in a way that doesn't bleed money, but also really supports the collective. So there's that Taurus money, and then the Aquarius of everyone's needs, right? How can we do that? So this Pluto in Aquarius is really kind of demolition of the old world, breaking apart anything that's not serving the collective, bringing to light and exposing people that have been trying to keep the old world order the same, right? Who's benefiting? I always like to say, follow the money, right? Follow the money and see who's benefiting from everybody, not moving ahead, whatever that is. And then We also have now Mercury stationary retrograde, not yet retrograde, not yet, because it's happening soon, is also conjunct Uranus. So Uranus is about individuality, our the god of change, right? The god of chaos. It's breaking apart the old to make way for the new, right? Earthquakes and things like that. And Uranus is in Taurus. So to have Mercury conjunct Uranus at this time, this is going to bring ingenuity to the fore. This is going to bring up amazing ideas, great inspired conversations about what can we do to help our natural resources, Mother Earth, Taurus, banking structures, Taurus. And this is also going to add volatility to the banking system, to investments, to currencies, things like that. So there's going to be, especially because Mercury is going retrograde very soon, not yet, very soon. Going to retrograde in Taurus, there's going to be an inherent instability in the banking system, in investments, in the trading markets. So not a great time to dump a bunch of money into trading. Or you can take advantage of things that are not going to be doing well during this period of time, but be prepared for high risk. That's what's going to happen. So at this time, so again, ingenuity, shocking news, that's another way that this can express, really finding out information that was like, oh my God, shock and awe. Also, having really great partnerships coming together that's unlikely, or meeting amazing, interesting people that are kind of doing weird things being ingenious things that are kind of cutting edge. This is great for inventions to be starting people to talk about, or inventions to be revealed into the world as well. So keep an eye out for that. Now, later that day, so actually the morning of Thursday morning, we have the sun moving into Taurus. And it is now Taurus season. Happy birthday, Taurus. All of the people I've had as coaches who handle my money, they're all Taurus. Like, it's just wild, right? It's just a wild ride. And Taurus rules money, which is kind of funny. So there is the Taurus. Happy birthday to all the beautiful Taurus in my life. I love you and thank you for being a part of my journey. And this Taurus energy is now going to be slowing down that fiery Aries energy and building it into something stable, something that's going to last the test of time. So Aries energy is more slow, steady, methodical, practical, grounded. It's fixed earth. It's earth that's not going to move, right? It's going to be there for centuries. And it's also going to be, it can be stubborn, right? Determined is the positive side of that. Turned up too loud. Is it stubborn? It can be possessive. Taurus likes nice things and knows the value of things, right? Spending money, that's why it rules over money, resources, Mother Earth, nature's resources, currency, that kind of stuff. That's all the realm of Taurus. And Taurus also rules like my gifts, anything that you say my, right? My gifts, my house, my tangible assets, that's Taurus. So we now have the sun in Taurus. Happy birthday, Taurus. And so this is going to be a slower time. We're actually trying to ground in all these wonderful creative ideas that have come in from Aries season and now bring them into a place where it can last. It can bring us money. It can really, fruits of our labor start to kind of multiply, right? We're making a really good plan here. Now, this is going to feed into, on Friday, April 21st, Mercury goes retrograde. Goes retrograde at 12:35 a.m. Mountain Standard, 2:35 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, or 4:35 Eastern Standard Time. And this is a time now where it's time to review, to reassess, to realign, to slow down. This is not a time to start new investments, not a time to start new things, new projects, new writing, new planning trips, things like that, signing contracts. I think I might say that. That's not a good time for that. Anything bought during a retrograde tends to be either lemon-like, or new information comes to light after the fact that you were like, oh, I wish I'd have known this. I wouldn't have made this decision. So during a retrograde, you don't have all the information. You're actually in a review period where new information is coming to light. You're gleaning it from what's happened. So not a time to start new things, okay? If you can help it. Signing for a house, finishing, buying a car, things like that. not good, especially in Taurus. There's going to be some volatility and also likely some surprises when Mercury goes direct, which we don't really like surprises when it comes to money. So we're going to be reassessing, realigning, and reviewing our values, our beliefs around money, solid assets, growth, the financial world. We're going to see volatility in currency, banking, trading. The currency markets are really, I think, in for some turbulence here. So, and we're going to see it for the end of April to the beginning, at the beginning half of May. So that is my prediction. I am not qualified to give financial advice, so please always consult a certified financial planner and make decisions accordingly. But as an astrologer, I would say not a time to make risky moves, big moves, or dump a bunch of money into the stock market yet. You can probably ride some of these changes in time, but I wouldn't do that now. I personally will not be doing that. All right. And then again, a little side note, which I talked about last week as well, is the retro shade period was April 7th to April 21st. So pay attention to what were you doing between the 7th to the 21st, because now between the 21st to the 14th of May, you are going to be reviewing that. You're going to be going over those things again and, making a note of that, or making a kind of taking some inventory to understand where this is coming up for you. What's coming up for you to reassess, realign, review in your life. And then post shade is May 14th to May 31st. You are now going to be seeing it with new eyes and implementing it out into the world in a different way than what you had originally planned. So just paying attention and using that energy for your highest and best, right? And then Saturday, April 22nd, we have Earth Day. So interesting. We have Mercury retrograde in Taurus, which is about the Earth. And then we also have Uranus conjunct Mercury in Taurus, Earth sign as well. So we're going to see, I think, some inventions be announced with cleaner energy, maybe a new energy source that's possible too. That'd be interesting. Ways to clean up the Earth. I think this is going to actually help us to quicken it, right? Uranus likes to quicken things. So quicken the cleaning up of the Earth. And then, but there's also, there's a square to Pluto. So we're revolutionary and people are excited to get this, going. And then there's a square to Saturn. So there's kind of like we're coming up against the old guard. We're coming up against patriarchy that doesn't want to pay for this or doesn't want to see change in the world because they like it the old way. So this can be, I think we're going to see some clashes or some protests on Earth Day on April 22nd. And then on April 23rd, we have Mercury retrograde sextile to Mars. So ordinarily, this is great motivational energy, but because Mercury is retrograde, this is wonderful energy to get things done that you've already started but didn't finish. Great for spring cleaning, great for cleaning out things, donating things to charities. You have a lot of energy. This speeds up our mind and reflexes. But remember, Mercury is retrograde, so you're not really meant to start anything. This is great energy for having deep conversations about things, but always checking for clarity when you're having deep conversations during Mercury retrograde. And really, this is kind of coming from a purpose-driven place that we want to now do something, elevate humanity. We've got this Taurus energy of like longevity and methodology and doing things in a way that feels certain. And then we have Mars in Cancer, which is very sensitive and wants to help people and intuitive, and it's got to be something that creates safety for the world. So we might even have some really great brainstorming on this day on how you can create longevity in your life and create safety as well, maybe with your money, right? This might be a good day to budget, count your receipts, balance your checkbook. Does anyone do that anymore? I don't know. But yeah, great day to finish things that have been started and not completed, either because you lost motivation or you didn't have time. So I am wishing you the most amazing week ahead. Use this powerful evolutionary energy for your highest and best, and just notice how it's presenting in your life, right? And use it in that way. Be introspective of what it, and respond, don't react. That's a really big one for this week, because this Aries 29-degree Aries energy is very reactive, right? It can be really explosive, and we don't want that. So I'm going to really encourage you. Your biggest tip of the week is to respond, not react. Okay. Just notice when you get triggered, take a deep breath. I'm going to get back to you. Right? I'll talk to you in like 24 hours. Do not react, because that Mercury retrograde will bring back your reaction to you in a way that you will likely be remorseful that it happened that way. So let's avoid the remorse, and let's be mindful, conscious, and respond. Wishing you a great week.